This is KGW News at 11.
First tonight, we're following breaking news of a deadly fire in Stayton, southeast of Salem. Neighbors tell us it was a child inside who was killed.
Just a horrible situation, obviously, and to add to that, police are saying the fire may have been started on purpose. Let's go ahead and take a look at the scene. Investigators still there late tonight, 8 hours after this fire started. This is Washington Street near Birch, right in the middle of town there. Police are only saying at this point that one person was killed in this fire. It's a suspected arson. We know that the homicide assault response team is investigating. Now, several neighbors and a family member did tell us that the victim was in fact a young child. We also spoke to one man who says he heard this commotion when the fire started, rushed over, found someone yelling that his child was upstairs, and then he rushed into the burning home to try and help.
I ran up the stairs. It was like running into a brick wall of black smoke. It was so thick that it was actually falling from the air, like rain, all the way around me. 6 inches of breathable air at the floor. I think I made it about halfway down the hall before I had to turn back around because I was like gasping for air myself.
An unbelievable account from a very brave person there. Unfortunately, he could not get to the child inside. Investigators are asking anyone with information about what happened here to call Oregon State Police.
Heartbreaking. Now to a developing story tonight. A Happy Valley woman who is legally blind is without her guide dog because of a careless driver.
Her golden lab, Sapphire, was badly injured when a driver plowed into the dog in a crosswalk. This happened near Clackamas Town Center. KGW's Mike Benner talked to her tonight. He joins us live from the sheriff's office. Mike, just awful.
Yeah, tell you what, Dan, this is such a tough story on so many levels. Tiffany Taylor tells us that she sat on a wait list for 2 years in order to get her guide dog, Sapphire. They've now been partnered up for a year, but we understand that Sapphire will have to be retired as a guide dog because she was hurt so badly, all in a violent hit and run.
Yeah, and she's such a sweet dog.
For the last year, 4-year-old Sapphire has been a guide dog for Tiffany Taylor, who's legally blind from an old brain injury.
For one thing, she gets me the motivation to get up and get going.
A far cry from Tiffany's life prior to Sapphire.
I've walked into walls, I've tripped down stairs, so it was very just one-dimensional kind of life.
But that was all in the past with the golden lab at Tiffany's side. In fact, the two were side by side Tuesday evening when everything changed.
I don't know how anybody could do that.
Tiffany says she and Sapphire had just gotten off the bus at Clackamas Town Center. They were crossing Southeast Monterey Avenue in a crosswalk.
Sapphire took a step out to guide me the rest of the way, and the next, she was just gone. Her harness was ripped out of my hand, and she was just gone.
Sapphire was hit by a car and thrown an estimated 20 feet.
I could hear her crying a fairly distance away from me.
Tiffany says deputies took Sapphire to the animal hospital with what's described as severe head trauma. But that's not all.
Her right front leg is badly injured. They're not sure if she's going to get to keep it. We hope that she does.
Tiffany's also hoping deputies catch the driver who sped away, though she's not holding her breath.
I just want people to be a little bit more vigilant in what they're doing when they're driving and keep their eyes open, because it could have just as easily been me halfway down the street.
Thankfully, it wasn't. Tiffany was not physically hurt, just a broken heart for Sapphire.
She's very important to my life.
Tiffany tells us she's finding some peace in the encouragement and support from the kids and coworkers at the daycare where she works. We can also tell you that Sapphire will be heading to the Guide Dogs for the Blind campus in nearby Boring, Oregon to get some treatment from the vet staff there. In the meantime, anyone with information about this case should contact the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. Back to you in the studio.
Oh, you just want to give Tiffany and Sapphire a big hug.
I know.
Oh my goodness, it's just terrible. We wish them all the best. Thank you, Mike.
Let's move on to talk about some weather now. We've been talking about snow. We know the snow plows and the salt trucks, they're ready to go as we wait to see whether we actually get some snow to fall here in Portland in the next coming couple days.
We're all waiting to see for sure. Let's get to Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino in the Weather Center. Matt, what's the latest forecast as we head into Super Bowl weekend?
Hey, Laurel, the weekend looks good. It's Monday morning that I'm concerned about for snow. Our old storm is winding down, and then there'll be a new storm that's forming up here in the Yukon that'll pull some very cold Arctic air out over the Pacific Ocean. And when that happens, we've got a chance, it's not a certainty, but we have a chance for snow on the valley floor. Now, This is our latest model run, which has changed yet again. And remember, I've been telling you for the last couple of days that these numbers would change, and they would change several times, and they do that. Up until a couple of hours ago, it was only giving us a half an inch between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. on Monday morning. Now it's starting to snow earlier, like 2 a.m. in the morning, ramping it up and giving us about 1.5 inches. So again, we're seeing these fluctuations in our guidance because they're not sure. The computers aren't sure exactly how this is going to play out, because things will be developing, things will be moving down over us, but also developing at the same time. So we'll get into that just a little bit later on, but my headlines remain the same. The snow level drops to about 500 feet early on Monday morning. Best chance for snow in Portland will be mid-morning on Monday. That hasn't changed either. And for the valley floor, anywhere from nothing to about 2 inches, as we just saw. But above 500 feet, a couple 3 inches is looking more and more likely. So we'll break this down a little further, talk about the rest of the forecast. It's going to stay cool. February looks much different than the really warm January that we just finished. Back to you.
All right, more from Matt soon. Thank you. So we followed up today on the man accused of hitting and killing a Portland teen. He apparently escaped the U.S., possibly with the help of the Saudi government. It was our news partner at the Oregonian who broke this story. They found out that Abdul Rahman Noura had been bailed out of jail by the Saudi government. The college student was accused of hitting Fallon Smart with his car back in 2016. Before trial, Noura disappeared. Federal authorities believe Saudi diplomats helped him out of the country. Fallon's mother spoke for the first time since her daughter's death, addressing this alleged escape.
It obviously shows a pattern, and that's honestly really quite terrifying. My daughter was just a girl still in a lot of ways, and she died a very violent death, and she at least deserved a legal system that put her killer in front of a jury of peers.
The Oregonian has counted 4 other similar cases of Saudis charged with crimes in Oregon who have disappeared.